Kalen DeBoer feels like there's more buy-in with his program, and the fact that no one transferred in the spring transfer portal kind of solidifies that. Maybe it justifies him feeling that way. We're going to talk about that. Deontae Lawson getting closer and closer to a return and maybe being a first-round pick in the NFL draft. And Bama's the third most profitable SEC program. What does that mean? Can we interpret that? We're going to try to right here on the Bama Tailgate Show, brought to you by Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Let's go. Roll Tide, everybody. Thanks for being here, and hope you're having a great day. Welcome to the Bama Tailgate channel. I'm Mick Gillespie, graduate of Alabama, and have been covering, just for those of you that don't know me, I've been covering Alabama one way, shape, or fashion since, should I say it? Since like 99, 98? Long time. But still trying to maintain that young presence that we do on here. So you're this age, but you know what? You've been around. You've seen some stuff. You lived through the Saban era. And we're going to talk Alabama football today. So as we do every day here on the channel. So make sure you're part of it. And thank you for being here. All right, first things first. Kalen DeBoer was, kind enough to talk to the media at the Senior Bowl golf tournament. Our friends Shank, Jake Coker, and Ryan Anderson were all there. So we had boots on the ground, as they say. And Kalen DeBoer was there. And he talked to AL.com and some of the other reporters that were hanging. And he was talking about Alabama's buy-in. And I think that it's worth talking about because that's one of the most important things when you look at this program, why Alabama didn't lose any players in the spring transfer portal. They didn't lose any scholarship players, right? And he just said that, when you start to look at the team, who's on your team, he said that they feels like these guys are doing a great job of building relationships. Obviously, he hasn't lost a lot of guys on the coaching staff, and he feels like there's a buy-in. And there's a buy-in with the team, and there's a buy-in with the players, and that you know what? It's a good thing for Alabama football to kind of be at this point. And when you look at what happened last season and the disappointments that Alabama had, I don't know enough to know what the buy-in was or wasn't, but we heard from Rock Montgomery that people were showing up to workouts with jewelry, showing up late, maybe skipping. They weren't able to be disciplined enough to handle success after they beat Georgia, losing to Vandy. Obviously, the Oklahoma game, the Michigan game. I'm not going to throw Tennessee in that mix. It was a tough game on the road, but still, games that Alabama has found a way to win in the past. They didn't do it last year, and they didn't make the college football playoff because of circumstances. I still think that they probably should have made it, but they didn't. And they had their chances, and they should have been in the SEC title game, but they weren't. And it felt like there were some issues with buy-in. I believe that. So for him to say that, I think he feels a lot more comfortable about the state of Alabama, the job that he's got. There's a lot of pressure there. He's dealing with the biggest program in college football in some aspects. Obviously, nobody's won more championships than Alabama. And then to come in and replace Nick Saban, there's very high expectations. So, that's very good news as far as him feeling like that. And I think that he would say that if he didn't believe that, he wouldn't say it. So I think that's a great thing for Alabama, but it's got to translate onto the field on Saturdays. And that means Jalen Milroe, who's in the NFL, isn't going to be there. It's going to be Ty Simpson's team. If he's able to stay healthy and maintain the spot that he's got when we kick it off against Florida State, Bama's got a very tough schedule to start the season. Florida State, then they go play Louisiana Monroe, and then they play Wisconsin at home, then they go to Georgia. Those are tough games, and what do you end up there, and do you take care of business there? And can we guarantee that Bama's going to be 3-1 at least through that stretch? I think we all expect that, But that's based off of last year. Florida State's gone out. They've improved their roster with transfer guys. Maybe that'll help them. Maybe it won't. Bama's got a lot of guys back. We talked about it. Some expect Alabama to have maybe up to 4 guys drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. That would tell you that this team's talented, but how are they going to come together? And then, what positions are going to struggle to mesh? Are guys going to get hurt? And the buy-in, are these guys really, really bought in to having success? One of the guys I think we all know that is a buy-in guy is Deontae Lawson. And the linebacker who is from Mobile and a really great player, has dealt with some bad injuries, but he is getting back. And Kalen DeBoer talked about that, and it's a good thing because this is a guy who could be one of those first-round picks. And so DeBoer saying, hey, Lawson's getting closer when asked is something that we were wondering about. DeBoer talked about Deontae Lawson being well-respected by the team because of his work ethic, because of the leadership that he provides. So seeing him diving into, as DeBoer said, his rehab and building back towards being a part of this football team again, Bama's lucky to have him. He's got to be ready to go and healthy, but he's a key cog in Alabama's machine coming up in 2025, and someone that I'm sure DeBoer and company are glad that they have. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about is Bama's being one of the most profitable places in college football. But I want to tell you guys, we're brought to you by Pearl River Resort, Philadelphia, Mississippi. The Azaleas, the Oaks, 2 amazing golf courses, a Dancing Rabbit golf course. You don't have to be a pro golfer like Jake Coker to enjoy great golf courses. No, I'm just kidding. But Jake and I are going to be there at the end of the month with Steve Azar. And hopefully we'll get a chance to get out on those links while we're there. We want you guys to come by, whether we're there or not. Dancing Rabbit Golf Course, really amazing. You don't have to have a membership to play, and it is a beautiful course. Philip M. Steakhouse, maybe afterwards, you celebrate a great round, a hole-in-one if you get one. And over at Pearl River Resort, hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 hours and change from Birmingham, and don't forget about the sports book. All right, I'm going to pull this off of AL.com, and I love this graphic because I think that it really kind of illustrates exactly what when you put something like this up there, what I want to talk about here, and that's revenue in college football and where Alabama stacks up. So this is from AL.com, and this is they're talking about the profitability of SEC schools. And Texas comes in. They are a juggernaut, an absolute juggernaut. You see them there over, $200 million, right? Tennessee, which they have a ton of profitability, but it hasn't translated into a lot of winning unless you look at this year when they made the college football playoff, but they were stomped and beaten up by Ohio State. And then there's Bama, and ahead of Georgia and ahead of Oklahoma, which was surprising to me, and Auburn, and then all the way down to Mississippi State, which is kind of on the far end of that. Now, the reason I put that up there and I wanted to talk about this is because I feel like this is one of the big things that we get into when it comes to NIL and, and spending money on the football program. I mean, it has pretty much become professional sports. And I don't know if that's going to change or not with NIL. And I'm hearing stories now about guys getting NIL money and then all of a sudden like disappearing, like not like nobody sees them anymore. Like they're not at the football complex, or they're out doing other stuff. And this isn't just at Alabama; it's all over college football. I mean, these kids don't have instructions with the money. They get the money, and that's something that you even see at the major level. But the other part of this to me, though, was how much money it takes to win now in college football. And if you're profiting, right? If you're the third most profitable program, right? So I think that's after all the money that's put out, right? So it's $1 billion program, but you're profiting. That's the way I'm interpreting it right now. 200 and $4.7 million. Still, if it takes $40 million to have the best roster in football, that still is like a drop in the bucket. And I know a lot of you guys have been irritated with Alabama for asking for money because you feel like they have it. Expensive tickets, the expensive food in the stadium. I went to the 8A game, and I think I spent $15 for a beer or something, somewhere in that neighborhood. Like, way too much money, way too expensive. But you do it because you're there, and it, hey, look, I was hot. I'm sitting outside. I'm going to get a beer. There needs to be, and they're working on this right now, some kind of revenue share where that money goes to the players and not people like us paying for it, unless we want to. So I'm curious to see how this all shakes out, but I still look at it and think that Alabama has to be one of the schools that has the resources to spend. And you wonder, I mean, with all the winning that they've done, how they wouldn't be ahead of Tennessee when it comes to profitability. Like, are they wasting money on stuff? I mean, like, and I think that's a fair question too. I've always kind of wondered, and I've talked about it on here before, and some of you guys hate it when I say it, but some of you guys don't. When you're paying, exorbitant amount of money for some of these programs to not win and to not even really compete, but they're being paid like, and treated like, like they're professional athletes, you start to question that. And football generates this money, so whatever it takes to get this roster, the best players that they can get, I want to see that. So anyway, look, that's kind of where I'm at on this. I just thought it was interesting. I thought it was good and bad. Texas is going to be hard to beat, but our goal should be to get as close to them as we can with the resources that we have. And they have a big state, they're oil, they're big, whatever. But Bama's got a bigger fan base than Texas. And it's figuring out a way to just keep those people engaged and then translate that into, a way to make them more profitable or obviously, or be better at managing business. But it could be a lot worse. You could be Auburn or even Mississippi State. So anyway, that's where we are right now today. Great to talk to you guys on the Bama Tailgate Show. We'll have Shank back on probably tomorrow and trying to effort to add another partner to the program. But I appreciate all of you guys for hanging out, whether it's here on the Bama Tailgate Show or on Cover Crimson when I do a show with Jake Coker and Clint Lamb. So wherever you find it, like, subscribe, thumbs up. Thank you for being here. And don't forget, we're brought to you by Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. We appreciate them so much. And we also got the 20% off deal for you when you pimp out your man cave. Take advantage of this. That's right. NewLifeArt.com, promo code Bama Tailgate, 20% off at the beginning and at the end when they says, hey, where you hear it? Bama Tailgate. And you get 20% off. So take advantage of that too. But roll tide, everybody, and we will do it again tomorrow. Pretty cool seeing Kalen DeBoer, though, and all the coaches over here in Fairhope, our backyard.
To Pearl River Resort.